Why have manual transmission late model Aston Martins not appreciated the way that manual transmission Ferraris and Lamborghinis have? Like, why is a V8 Vantage manual still,
80?
Well, 80 is a great one.
Right.
Why can you still get one for 35 or 40 grand? My first guess was they made a lot of them. And my second guess was that they don't have quite the panache of Ferrari and Lamborghini, but
Totally.
they do have some of the maintenance costs.
Absolutely. It's the worst of both worlds.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Smoking Tire Podcast. Today's episode is brought to you in part by HelloFresh. I love HelloFresh. You know why? Because shopping sucks. Because food waste sucks. Cooking is great. Cooking new recipes, learning how to make new stuff, expanding your repertoire, it's great. Traditionally, what happens if you love to be a home cook, but you're a busy person and you work a lot, like me? I fall into the same habits. I make the same 5 or 6 things over and over because I can do it without thinking. I know how long it's going to take. I don't have to buy a whole bunch of crazy expensive spices and ingredients that are going to sit on a shelf for a year or that I'm going to waste because I have to overbuy because I'm only cooking for 2 people. HelloFresh solves all that problems. You can save money on your dinner. With HelloFresh, you can put it towards your shopping. It's cheaper than grocery shopping and 25% less expensive than takeout. Plus, you can learn new recipes. HelloFresh has over 35 weekly recipes. There's something to please everyone. You get these really nice color-printed, large format recipe cards. They make following these recipes really easy. Plus, because everything comes sort of pre-portioned, right? You might have to chop a pepper or chop up an onion. They doesn't come pre-chopped, but the spices and the sauces, they're all pre-portioned. You don't have to measure. It's one less dish to do, one less thing to think about. You open the packet, you pour it in, boom, done. If you need dinner in a hurry, HelloFresh has quick and easy options like 20-minute meals and easy cleanup recipes, allowing you to enjoy good times around the dinner table and less time in the kitchen. You can always swap a protein or a side, upgrade to a choice protein, or even add proteins to a veggie meal. So whether you're hosting a holiday party, just stocking up on snacks, or trying to do some meal planning so you can eliminate that grocery shopping from your weekly schedule, you'll find everything you need at HelloFresh Market. Quick breakfasts, charcuterie boards, desserts, full meals. It's never been easier to prep for a party or fill up your pantry. And I love cooking with HelloFresh because the food is delicious, the portions are the right size, and I'm really minimizing my food waste. Stuff isn't going bad in the fridge because I used half of it for one recipe and I can't figure out what to do with it next. I don't find spices from 2 years ago because I spent $9 on it to make one thing and then never used it again. It is great. All you got to do is go to HelloFresh.com/SmokingTire65 and use code SmokingTire65 for 65% off plus free shipping. It's a hell of a deal, folks. HelloFresh.com/SmokingTire65 and then use code SmokingTire65 for 65% off plus free shipping. That's why HelloFresh is America's #1 meal kit. Also brought to you in part today by Established Titles. Now this one, it's kind of silly, it's kind of fun, but also kind of dope. So hear me out. Established Titles. It's a fun and novel way to preserve the natural woodlands of Scotland while helping global reforestation efforts. Okay, that's important, right? I was just in Scotland. It's great. Let's preserve the natural woodlands there. Global reforestation, also great, right? But that's not where the fun begins. It's a project based on a historic Scottish custom where landowners are referred to as lairds or lords and ladies in English. And these title packs give you at least 1 square foot of dedicated land with a unique plot number on a private estate in Edelston, Scotland, an official certificate with a crest. They plant a tree with every order and work with global charities, One Tree Planted and Trees for the Future, to support global reforestation efforts. And you can therefore, going forward, include the title Lord or Lady on your credit cards, on your plane tickets, your dating profiles, etc. Makes a great Christmas gift. It's fun. It helps people feel important about themselves. I plan to refer to myself as Lord Matt going forward. It's awesome. And the first 200 people purchasing a title pack using our link will effectively be next to our plot. The Smoking Tire has a plot. Within a couple minutes of walking distance, you can be right next to it, depending on how many of you want to become a lord or a lady. And if a bunch of you do it, we could build a little Smoking Tire kingdom over there in Scotland. We could go pick up a bunch of bottles of scotch, stand on our plots, drink them joints. It'd be delightful. It makes a great last-minute holiday gift, and Established Titles is actually running a massive Black Friday sale right now. And if you use code SMOKINGTIRE, you get an additional 10% off. Go to establishedtitles.com/SmokingTire to get your gifts now, help support the channel, and become a lord or a lady. Establishedtitles.com/SmokingTire, and then use code SMOKINGTIRE for 10% off. This episode of the podcast is brought to you in part by Berryman Total Engine Tune-Up for gas and diesel. And why are we recommending Berryman Total Engine Tune-Up for gas and diesel? Because over time, gasoline and diesel fuels will break down and deteriorate. Untreated gas can be less potent, right? It can varnish the carburetor in an older car and possibly prevent your fuel system from working the way that it's meant to. Unwanted chemical reactions with aging fuel might also mean trouble over time. For instance, the evaporation of some volatile components within stored fuel might leave behind harmful deposits in your engine or stop your fuel from igniting properly in the engine after 3 or more months. And Berryman's Total Engine Tune-Up for gas and diesel is the solution. It eliminates any need for you to drain your fuel before storing it, and as fuel stabilizer, the Berryman product keeps your fuel fresh and preserves a properly balanced and stable environment. It's effective with any 2-stroke or 4-stroke gasoline or diesel engine in any season. In the fuel tank, it disperses moisture, cleans the injectors and carburetors, provides smoother top engine performance, and reduces the need for repairs. In the crankcase, Berryman Total Engine Tune-Up dissolves and dispenses gum, sludge, and other residues for better lubrication and longer oil life. And best of all, Berryman Total Engine Tune-Up stabilizes gasoline or diesel fuels for 1 year. That's why we recommend it, why I use it at Westside Collector Car Storage. And you can find Berryman products at all major automotive retailers. For more information, go to berrymanproducts.com. All right, folks, today it's a crew show. Zach and I are back in studio. COVID, no mo. I had the shortest case of COVID ever. It was gone in under 72 hours, which was awesome. Good for podcasting because we're back in studio. Catching up on everything we missed. We've got our 135i project car is finished. Elon Musk continues to dominate the Twitterverse. He basically has turned an entire social media network into his own personal homepage. And frankly, I am here for it. Never has someone made such a bad business decision so publicly, and it is a fun-ass train wreck to watch, and we've got a lot more. On today's crew show, it's the Smoking Tire Podcast. Welcome to the Smoking Tire Podcast.
Yeah.
Hello, back in studio. I had the shortest COVID ever. Test positive Tuesday morning, 10:30 a.m. Test negative Friday morning so it's 1 day to 3 days. 3 days of COVID.
That's a good turnaround.
Fucking good turnaround.
Yeah.
Omicron vaccine plus Paxlovid combo move.
Should do it.
Yeah. Although that Paxlovid shit gives you this real nasty metallic taste in your mouth that seemed to be like amplified when you're exercising. So like when I was doing cardio, like it would get way fucking worse.
Ew.
It was gross. Yeah, it was pretty gross. It wasn't pleasant. And like...
Did it mess with your taste buds for a little bit?
No, I mean, other than the actual metallic taste, that was it.
Okay.
But like, dude, fucking go immune system, rapid fire.
Immune system plus
Immune system
pharmacology.
plus vaccinations plus Paxlovid. Yeah. I had a motherfucker of a time trying to get that shit. That was like, just like, it doesn't really matter, but like the process of getting it from my doctor to the CVS was like very, very difficult.
I feel like, I wonder if it's a supply thing. There was a period where it was very easy, and then it got hard again.
Yeah, it was like they're supposed to send in the prescription like right away. Like I tested positive at 10 a.m., telehealth appointment 1 p.m. They said, we'll send the prescription in right away. Okay. Hannah goes to CVS to get it at 9 p.m. And they're like, yeah, we have no record of this. So the doctor's office is closed. I called them first thing the next morning. And they're like, what the fuck? We sent it in. I was like, well, can you send it in again? They send it again. By 3 p.m., CVS, I've not gotten the text that says your shit is ready. So I called the CVS and I got an automated response saying, this was Wednesday morning. And they're like, your prescription will be ready Friday at 5 p.m. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, this is like time sensitive
I'll be better by then.
medication. And so I had to stay on hold for like 40 minutes waiting for a guy and like, what the fuck? And then they got it. But so anyway, no mas COVID.
That's very good.
Yay. And it's good. It's good that not much was actually going on. So if I had to sit at home for 3 days, there was no better time to do it.
No travel.
No cars, no traveling. Are you fucking dying over there?
I just got a thing in my throat.
No commitment. Yeah. Also, point of parliamentary procedure. No one is perfect, least of all myself. I'm highly imperfect. But if I fuck up, I like to make amends for it. I like to recognize that I fucked up, say I'm sorry, and move on. So a couple weeks ago, maybe a month ago, we had Salika Talbot on the show.
Are you finally admitting that the election was not stolen?
My denialism is coming through. In the first like 5 minutes of the show, I referred to her as something to the effect of a badass bitch or something like that. And I meant it as a term of endearment. We did have some kind of rapport. It wasn't a stranger. There's no excuse. But as soon as I said it, I was kind of like, maybe I shouldn't have said that. But I didn't stop myself. And I was I was thinking about it. And a couple people, maybe 3 or 4 people, 3 of whom were nice about it, 1 of whom was a super shitbag about it, emailed or whatever to say, hey, like that's not like a nice thing to say to women. And so I wrote Salika an email and I said, I said this and I regret it and I was thinking about it and other people had mentioned it and I meant it as a term of endearment. I meant it as kind of a positive thing, but I realize now that that's a bad use of words, and I will, try to do better going forward. And she responded very quickly and said, when you said it, I did feel a little sting. I understood quickly that you didn't mean it in a derogatory way. I understood the context you were using it, but I appreciate your apology and, noted, and I had a great time, and it was a great show, and it was a great experience. So there was a private apology. This is now the public apology. I shouldn't have used that phrase. I've learned my lesson. I will not do it going forward.
Yeah, I think that's the right move. Both of them, yeah.
I mean, we do a lot of talking on this show, and a lot of it is very casual.
Yeah.
And sometimes you get a little familiar, and you fucking, you fuck up a little bit. You got to dive on the grenade, say you're sorry, move on.
Right. Yeah.
That's all we can do. So shout out to Salika, who is a fucking awesome guest and a great show, and go listen to her. And I won't use that phrase anymore to describe women.
I've been getting notifications like once a week of people finding that show and commenting publicly on Twitter about how good it was. And, like,
it was a good show. Yeah, it was a good show. And I think I think there were not a ton of people, at least publicly, that were, bothered by the phrase I used there, but nevertheless, it's important to make amends and move on.
Yeah.
In general, it was a great show.
Yeah.
And of course, the in the same vein, the urbanism, the policy, the Paris Marx show is up right now, and I really enjoyed doing that show. I thought Paris was really interesting.
Yeah, me too. Good book. I brought it back for you.
Oh yeah, it's a great book. I'm happy to pay it forward. First fan that messages me. Only the first. Well, I only have one. First fan that messages me, I'll send the book to. If you're in America, I'm not paying fucking international shipping fees for a book. It's like that book is like would be $8 to mail domestically and $60 to mail to Canada. So like, great book, Road to Nowhere: What Silicon Valley Gets Wrong About the Future of Transportation. Highly recommend it. And go listen to that show.
Yeah.
If
listen to the show, of course. But we've had some comments this morning of people being like, "Why are you anti-car? Why are these guests anti-car?" And it's like they use statistics. That's all they're doing. Is like Paris is just like, here are studies, here are numbers that came out from these studies, which are impartial because they're based on math, as far as I'm concerned. I know, and it's just like we're just looking for solutions to a problem that affects everybody, which is traffic and shit like that. And it's just,
And there's a difference between car enthusiasm and car dependence. Car enthusiasm, sports cars, roads, tracks, car shows, stick shifts, stuff like that. Car dependence is the fucking 405 freeway jammed and you're going 2 miles an hour for an hour and a half to go 12 miles to go to work.
Right.
That's car dependence.
Yeah.
And there's a fucking difference. And there's a lot of car enthusiasts that live in urban or suburban areas that would rather not be car dependent. I'm a car enthusiast and I don't want to be car dependent. So anyway, that's what that conversation's about.
Good show.
Bunch of things. I watched a documentary while I was home that is sick that I really enjoyed, but you had one up on the screen. You also watched a documentary that you wanted to talk about.
You want to do that one first? Okay. So I watched this documentary called Stewart, which is all about Jackie Stewart. It's not. So they came out with a documentary in 2001 called The Flying Scot, which is about him also. But this...
He's also heavily featured in the movie One that I talk about over and over and over again.
Right. So, I mean, he, championship winning F1 driver in the 60s.
Championship clay shooter. Before
really?
that. Yeah. I went in Scotland. I went to the Jackie Stewart Shooting Academy.
It's he's a very talented person, like hand-eye coordination, all that stuff. And what actually a great example of that is the way he got started racing was so interesting. When he was 15, he left high school because he couldn't read the words. Turns out he's dyslexic.
He's dyslexic,
but he's undiagnosed because this was 1950 something.
Right.
So they were just like, "You're thick
They were
and
like,
stupid."
"You have the devil in you."
I don't know. What were they done there? Catholicism in Scotland? They would say you're a demon child and you need to repent.
Catholicism or is it Protestantism?
Ooh,
there might have been a war over this if we get this
Ireland,
one
I
wrong.
think.
It is Ireland, but I forget which side
neighbors,
Scotland was on.
It was loud there.
Yeah.
So he left. He was a mechanic, and one of the customers said, "Oh, I really like how you work on my car. Would you like to race it? I race this car sometimes." And he's like, "Okay." So he went to a track day, first time racing a car, and he got second. And then the next time,
it's like the Randy Lanier story.
It's very similar.
Yeah.
So the next race weekend came up, and this person let him drive the car, and he won. And basically, he started racing sports cars, and by the time I think he was 22, McLaren put him in a car to test. And within a few laps, he was on pace with everyone else who'd been racing. And he didn't come up in karting. It was really cool. So he just had that natural ability and then was able to figure out how the car moved. But he was still dyslexic when he was advocating for F1 safety and reading contracts and doing these proposals in front of board and the FIA. He still couldn't read for decades, which is amazing. He'd have someone read for him, or he would got very, very good at passing things off, "Oh, I don't have my glasses. Will you tell me what this says?" All that shit, and it was it was really interesting to see that he had achieved so much success in so many arenas, not just driving. Yeah, and
there's always a workaround.
Yeah, he's very good at speaking. He was a broadcaster, and he couldn't read the teleprompter or the script they'd give him, so he would either memorize it at home, with his wife, or he would just kind of freewheel it.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah, it was really interesting.
Yeah.
But the documentary is really cool because it uses a ton of 70s video footage and then they lay interviews of him over that, and it's just like it moves well, and the footage is great, and it was really interesting just to hear his success story, and
that's
especially
good.
how like unnatural it was.
Yeah.
It was natural talent.
I read his book a while ago, or I tried to. It's like
He wrote it as a dyslexic.
It's like
so
500 pages. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, it's like this.
Oh, you
fucking
told me
thing.
that. And wasn't there like chapters on shooting?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like he doesn't even get in a car until like page 225 or something.
Wow.
Like it's kind of a slog. And when I went to Scotland, like everybody has a Jackie Stewart story.
Oh, cool.
Everyone met him or drove him or he stayed at this hotel and he ate at the restaurant and he's got a big dyslexia charity now that he runs, and it's like a big deal throughout Scotland. I mean, he's like, other than like maybe Sean Connery, he's like one of the most famous people in the history of Scotland, modern history anyway. And so everybody has a Jackie Stewart story when you're there. And like the shooting school is there. And actually, if you're into ski shooting, this is a fucking amazing shooting school. It's really, really good. It's one of the best sporting clay ranges I've ever seen.
Nice.
But yeah, I'll check this out. But
It's really good.
If I could read the biography in video documentary and get the same amount of information, I probably would have done that, because the book is interesting, but like I said, kind of a slog. And so I'll take the documentary version, I think.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, it's
that's a
very
good
good.
one to check out. Where is it streaming?
I watched it on a flight, so I don't know where. You can probably just Google like where to stream. But
well, I've got a big fucking flight coming up, so I'll check that out.
Yeah.
Cool. That's a good one. I watched the new Billy Corbin documentary on Hulu called God Forbid. It's the Jerry Falwell thing with the pool boy.
Oh, he made that?
Billy Corbin made it. So if you never heard of Billy Corbin, he made The U, and he made Cocaine Cowboys. Also, it's this guy. And after I saw it, it was so good, I hit him up on Twitter, and he will come do the podcast.
That is
which
awesome.
will be awesome, because Billy Corbin kicks fucking ass. He's down in Miami, and his Instagram is like real crazy Miami stuff. And so, yeah, God forbid the sex scandal that brought down a dynasty, streaming on Hulu right now, and. Dude, it's crazy.
Yeah, it's Jerry Falwell Jr.
It's Jerry Falwell and his wife are like swingers, right? But they obviously also run this Christian university. That's like, and the students are like not allowed to like dance together. Like the thing the students have to sign, where they can literally be fined like $500 for drinking. There's like levels. Like if you're in someone of the opposite sex's room, it's like $30. If you're caught drinking, it's like $300. If you're they put alcohol consumption at the same level as like committing a felony or sexual assault. Like, it's crazy.
This is at Liberty University.
Liberty University is the Falwell University, and so they go to Miami at the Fontainebleau. This dude's like milfy wife like picks up the pool attendant as like, do you want to go, bang in the hotel room? But my husband likes to watch. And so they do, and he's like jacking it in the corner. But then like they're like both into it, and then they integrate this dude like almost like into their family. Like he's like there's so many photos and videos of this guy like at these family gatherings and weddings, and he's like friends with Jerry Falwell's kids. Like, it's so weird.
What did they say he was? Like, why was he
Well,
there?
apparently they said he was like a guy they were mentoring, and because they own this Christian university, like that didn't seem that weird. To other people.
I know.
Yeah, it didn't seem that strange.
That's a good
excuse. And then he's like, I want to help you. And so they buy him a commercial real estate property in Miami. They buy this guy, and he opens like a hostel down there. And then there's a whole fucking crazy thing that happens. And I don't want to give away the whole thing, but well, let's just say it culminates in the January 6th insurrection, basically.
I just want to talk about Google Ads for real quick. We're looking at people.com, and this story is Jerry Falwell and wife Becky open up about pool boy sex scandal with pictures of them. To the right is Google ad with a zip-up hoodie that says "Faith over Fear" with a cross on it.
They're giving us fucking Jesus hoodies with these stories.
Right next to the sex scandal story. That is
funny.
That is amazing. Well done, Google.
And
God, that's wild,
dude. It's epic. They show the pool guy Giancarlo Granda. Yeah. Man, this poor fucking bastard. You know, he banged the wrong housewife for sure. But he shows the text messages and shit. He plays the fucking voice recordings. Like, there's video. Like, it's gnarly. It's fucking great. Billy Corben rules. This documentary.
Maybe I'll watch it.
This is a must watch.
I knew the story, and I was like, all right, I don't know if I need to watch
No,
this.
the story's like, it's one thing to be like, oh yeah, he's watching his wife fuck the pool attendant. That's the least.
I mean, that's a Wednesday.
That is the least scandalous thing in this story. This shit gets wild. They introduce this guy to Donald Trump, like while he's running for president. Like, and and Trump gets Falwell to endorse him because Michael Cohen is there, understands what's going on with this dude and the wife, and holds it over Falwell's head for the endorsement.
Whoa.
That's where this goes. This isn't like, oh yeah, they were fucking and he was jacking it in the corner. This is like Michael Cohen, dirt digger, is introduced to this guy. He's like, why is this guy like managing your real estate portfolio? He's 22.
Yeah.
And is like,
something's up.
and starts digging and figures out what the deal is.
This is why I like House of Cards so much. Because I'm like, no, this stuff really happens.
This shit is crazy. So yeah, it's definitely worth your 90 minutes.
I'll watch that today.
Yeah, that's a real good one. So I'm really I'm really excited that Billy Corben got back to me when I hit him on this is why it's good to actually have a real blue check mark and not one you can buy for $8, because other blue check marks know you are a person of reasonable legitimacy that they might want to actually respond to your DMs.
What's funny is when I use my Instagram to reach out to try to get guests on the show, they don't respond. But if I use yours, they respond, which it makes sense because the blue floats to the top.
Yeah.
And it just tells them like, all right, this person's, otherwise you're getting 15,000
Yeah,
invites a day.
it's the same. People DM me with a blue check mark.
Yeah.
I don't know who the fuck you are, but like, oh, okay, you're someone of at least, like, maybe you're not, maybe you bought it or whatever, but like, it's at least a something.
Like Herschel Walker would not respond to me on my thing, but with yours, he's like, what's up?
He's like, what's up, Matt?
DM all the time.
What's up? Is this, do I owe anybody money? The Mach-E, last we spoke, I had quote the most problematic Mach-E in the country,
according to Ford.
According to Ford, they replaced the entire sync system, the main screen, took the whole fucker out, put it in. Actually retained all of my settings with the exception of pairing my phone.
Oh, nice.
It remembered all my Sirius settings and the drive mode settings and all that stuff, which I thought was
just
good.
Transfer it like an iPhone.
Maybe, yeah. But that was we got it back. What day is it? Tuesday today. We got it back on Thursday. Got the car back Thursday. So far, 0 issues. There have been no issues since.
Were you having issues every other day?
Basically, yeah. Wow. It was not major, but like something was fucking up in the software.
I didn't know it was that frequent. I knew it was frequent.
It got worse.
Oh.
It over time it got worse and worse.
Okay.
And so but since we picked it up, no issues. So that's good. And speaking of electric cars, I just saw on roadandtrack.com photos of the electric Boxster prototype. Did you see that?
No.
It looks kind of like you'd expect a new electric Boxster to look. It has styling cues from the 992. The front end. If you scroll down a little bit, there it is on the left. The front end looks a bit 992-ish. There's a fake exhaust pipe in the back that is totally unnecessary. Are those outward-facing speakers in the rear bumper, Zach?
Oh,
those look like 6x9s, don't they?
They kind of do.
They kind of look like 6x9s, right?
Get close to the TV, honestly.
I mean, they could just be vents, but they are in the shape of speakers, and the ones on the outside seem to be kind of cone-like, right?
Wow. Well, I think the ones I should get in front of the microphone.
You should get in front of the microphone because we're doing radio.
I think the outside ones are probably parking sensors.
Oh, maybe.
That's where those usually live. But the ones that are a little bit more inboard, for anyone listening, like it would be a giant concave hole between where the center exhaust would be and the actual corner of the bumper, and there's one on each side, and they're quite big. So
well, the real car would have a bumper over that, but if you were messing with stuff,
yeah, I mean, I don't know, could be. Who knows?
There's also no more side intakes because obviously you don't need them anymore. Go scroll down to the picture of the front bumper. The front bumper looks 992-ish. See that?
Oh yeah.
So they've got some 992 styling hues, and it looks. I mean, it's hard to see with no scale, but it looks like it's a little bigger. The car does look a little bigger.
I mean, I hate that this is what happens every time they make a new car, but it probably is.
Yeah.
It always gets slightly bigger.
Yeah.
An inch or two. It's got big hips though. Even
yeah.
There's no intakes.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see. I mean, look, it'll probably drive awesome.
Yeah.
It'll probably make a real cool everyday car.
They'll sell so many of these.
They'll sell a bunch. Yeah. I mean, and if it drives like a Taycan but is the size and shape of a Boxster, that's fucking cool.
Yeah, and hopefully it weighs a little less than a Taycan. I mean, it should, fewer doors and whatnot, but I hope it's like 1,000 pounds.
Yeah, it's got to be. I hope it's under 4.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
4 would be
38 would be acceptable.
Yeah.
And expected.
Because a regular Boxster's light.
Yeah.
A regular Boxster with a 6-cylinder engine is 3,100, 3,200 depending on options. So if it cracked 4, that would be frustrating.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's real.
That's cool.
An electric Boxster prototype.
All right. I bet it'll be fun.
Yeah. Let's just say I'm not sad that I bought what might. I don't know if the GT car might remain gas. That might remain.
I think it will for a while.
Yeah.
I think they ease people in, like the new tech, the newest, fastest tech. Like we'll go to the Turbo S.
Right.
But then the thing they want to introduce you to, it's like let's go in the lower version first, and keep the GT cars because that's where the purists live. But the people that buy the normal Boxster, I think a lot of them just go, well, I want a convertible that looks good. And the engine can be whatever.
Yeah.
It's quick enough. It's got good pickup. That's what
I bet it'll
want.
be fast.
I bet it will be.
Yeah.
All right.
You think it'll be all-wheel drive or rear-wheel drive?
Rear.
I think probably just rear, right?
Yeah, that's what I think. Because then you can keep your frunk, right?
Yeah.
All-wheel, you'd lose a lot of frunk space. If not all of it.
Well, not all of it. I mean, the Taycan does have a frunk.
Yeah, it's a longer car though.
Yeah.
But like NSX, no frunk.
True. True.
I don't know.
Well, it exists.
Cool.
It's a thing.
All right.
Blah, 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 blah. Eric, my general manager here at WCCS, posed a question that he thought it might be interesting to discuss on the podcast today. Why have manual transmission late model Aston Martins not appreciated the way that manual transmission Ferraris and Lamborghinis have? Like, why is a V8 Vantage manual still...
80.
Well, 80 is a great one.
Right.
Why can you still get one for 35 or 40 grand? My first guess was they made a lot of them, and my second guess was that they don't have quite the panache of Ferrari and Lamborghini, but
Totally.
they do have some of the maintenance costs.
Absolutely. They have. It's the worst of both worlds. In a way. And if I could just buy a fourth car, V8 Vantage would be on that list. Like, they're beautiful, they sound good. V8 or V12 doesn't
I think
matter.
they're made, well, the V12s are a lot more valuable than the V8s.
But I think even so, they're not, they're expensive, but they're not like, holy shit, this is $250,000 now, like a, manual.
But I think, but they're made really well. Like, if the V8 Vantages are made well. You can put 35, 40, 50,000 miles on them, and they hold up really nice.
I don't think they fall apart. I mean, you have to ask Tavares, but
no, they had like a shitty one, and it held up well.
Yeah, and the engine was developed for a really long time. So if you get one of the later versions, they figured everything out.
They're mechanically like pretty stout. Like they can have like little bullshit because they do use a lot of unique parts. Not in the engine or the transmission or the drive line, but like the door locks and the fucking switches and the radio and whatever. Like that stuff is like can be kind of unique, and so it can cost a lot to fix that stuff. But I don't know. Every time I've driven a good like the later V8 manuals, the GTS one, like those drive really, really good. They're not like screaming fast, but they're great fun to drive.
They're quick enough.
Yeah.
I mean, and
they make a great sound.
And for a while, they were competitive speed-wise with the 911, like the regular 911S or something.
Yeah.
I think they're awesome. I think they're overlooked. But I think, as you said, Aston is just not as luxurious or exotic as Ferrari or Lamborghini, both in terms of price and name recognition.
And not known for durability the way that Porsche is.
Exactly. So Porsche's known for the durability, and I think that's really carried them for the last 15 years. The fact that people talked about 964s and G bodies and whatnot, just saying like these things run for a really long time. And everyone went, huh, that's a good point.
Yeah.
Like while all the other exotics from the 80s and 90s are super finicky. So
front engine too. Front engine is just inherently less exotic.
Yeah, that's true. But it's a fucking gorgeous car.
They are.
It's a gorgeous car. It sounds great. And the interior on those, even though it's a little confusing to use, was really, really nice looking. I like the center stack.
It was put together well.
Yeah.
I mean, compared to like my Vanquish, which is like kind of it's a real like handmade in England kind of interior.
Yeah, they took a good step forward.
It actually is like the Vantages are like built with real tolerances.
I'm going to find a photo of the interior.
The interiors were good. They were comfortable. The driving position was really good. Better, I mean, honestly, better than the current one in a lot of ways. That top left.
They feel a lot smaller, which is nice.
Don't do a right-hand drive, but whatever. There you go. That one's got like cool buckets in it. There it is. I mean, it's a classy interior. The nice round steering wheels are great. One of the all-time great steering wheels, right? Everything you need, nothing you don't. Knobs for the climate control.
Yep.
Knobs to scroll the radio.
That's the new one.
That's the current one. Yeah, it's really gone downhill there.
It really did.
Yeah.
Let's go back.
Great driving position, good shifter feel.
And this, the interior that's like black and gray, you actually kind of lose the gauges in the sea of that, but this was the brown leather, and so the gauges really stand out. I mean, they're really beautiful.
Yeah. That pop-up nav screen is a little janky, but fortunately you don't need it for the radio, so you can pretty much just leave it closed. It's a bummer that these things are not appreciating in value. I mean, or maybe it's good. I mean, maybe it's also, if you're a car enthusiast, people are sleeping on these things.
But if you have one, you might be bummed they haven't risen a ton.
The V12 Vantage, especially the non-S, the pre-S, which was a 6-speed instead of the 7-speed, those are the fucking jam.
Yeah.
And I don't like that dog leg first in the 7-speed. Even though I have dog legs in the Ferrari and the Lamborghini, when it's the 7th dog leg, as opposed to the gear 7 being the dog leg. Like, I don't like to be over here for that 1-2 shift unless it's only a 5-speed.
Why?
It's just like, I don't like it as much. It's like too many gears.
I mean, I agree. Like, I think if you have a 6-speed, I don't think you need a 7. So, but if you have a 5-speed, then it's like 1, 2, 3, 4. Then is that what you're saying? Like you like the pattern when it's you're only really interacting with 4 gears once you're moving?
Yeah, like with the 5-speed, they're longer gears.
Yeah.
So you're in first like a lot less. It's like just less. And when I drove the 7-speed with the dog leg first, I just wasn't that into it. I don't know why. Maybe because this was like 3 years ago. Maybe even more, maybe 4 years ago. Maybe even longer than that. I don't even fucking remember when I drove the Vantage S. But I just didn't like it compared to the way that Porsche did it with the 7th being a lockout unless you're from 6th, then it's over there. It felt more like normal.
Yeah, well then it feels like a 6-speed with overdrive.
Right.
Instead of almost feeling like a 7-speed.
Or like a 5-speed dog leg with a double overdrive at the other end.
Look at it, yeah.
It's just, whereas the one with the 6-speed, like, I don't give a shit about the fuel economy of the 7th gear in a V12 Vantage. Like,
yeah, true.
The 6-speed is just a better layout, and the power improvements with the S were minimal. It didn't matter.
They're nice. We filmed one with Parker Kligerman for a different channel a few years ago, and it was like a dark blue with baseball interior, really nice condition, and it was like $80,000
for a 12 or an 8.
For an 8,
yeah.
But it was a really, really nice one. But looking at that car, which is going to be like one of the most beautiful cars of our era, and sounds good, and has a manual and has nice gauges, like it checks all these boxes. So that almost seems like a bargain when you think that anything similar from Ferrari or Porsche right now is going to cost you double that.
Yeah.
You know,
I'm into them. It's weird that they have, especially the manuals. Like I get it if the pedal ones, sure, but the manuals should be in high demand, you know, and they're not, and they should be, especially the later cars. Later cars are great.
They kept adding more power and little
when they went to the 4.7 engine and then the GTS one with the updated suspension, like those are awesome cars. Yeah. All right.
I would buy.
Would buy?
I would buy.
Yeah. I don't really have anything else on my list right now.
Yeah, we haven't had any.
You drove this crazy Supra. Do you want? I didn't know. I didn't really know about it. What do you got with this Supra? This fucking. It was like a serious tuner car.
This was really cool. So you know, MK Mark V Supra. Guy uses it for time attack.
I like he's got the BMW graphics
dude,
on the hood. That's funny.
When I saw that, he has the lightweight graphics on the front and the back.
The E36 graphics.
So genius, and it really lands when you open the hatch, which he has completely gutted, and you see the number of computers that say BMW on the back there. I mean, it's like 9.
Remember when
windows and locks and
was
all kinds of stuff.
Sam Smith or was it Camisa or Sam Smith like took as many things off of the Supra as you could take off and like without totally wrecking the car, and there's just BMW shit all over
the place.
Yeah.
I mean, but I gotta say, the more I see these, especially like from behind, I saw one on the highway yesterday, like they're really good looking, shapely cars, which the Z4 I do not really like. I don't think that's a good looking car at all.
It doesn't do anything for me, but it's a BMW. I mean,
I think it's a better looking BMW than the Z4, which is a win. I don't know. We have to drive the manual one.
It's on my list. I've emailed them twice about the GR Corolla and the manual Supra, and I have not yet heard back.
No, we'll keep badgering them.
Yeah.
But, so this car is owned by this guy named Austin. Really nice dude. He's a Marine veteran and came back and wanted a hobby and picked up time attack driving kind of late, which is cool, and he's been competitive. But what's funny so this car was bought by a friend of his. Brand new, guy took it to the track, smacked it into a tire wall, and then Austin bought it and just replaced the body panels and like one suspension piece, and has been running it at Coda, Big Willow, all kinds of stuff. But it's fully gutted. It's got a little bit of aero on it, an engine tune. So I think it's making like 480 if he's on E85. It's got a transmission tune. It's automatic, of course. Shifts really quick up and down. Down is always the test because upshifting hard is how OEM
much easier than
it's an easier sell. You know, it's gutted. I really like the front splitter is wood, and that's made by
wood.
It's wood. It's made by I think it's Vantage tuning, so it's shaped correctly. It's like laser cut, but then he needed a little more aero, so he bought carbon canards off Amazon and some flat carbon sheets. And then you see down on the right side, there's these 90-degree brackets from Home Depot, and like he put the carbon plates on with that, and he's like, it actually helped. Like it legitimately helped the front end lift.
Why do you want a front? Is the front lip wood because it's just cheaper to replace
and cheaper to buy? Like he doesn't have a huge budget, so it's like it's just straight up cheaper. Unlike the one on the Gunther Works car, which is probably a very expensive piece of wood, but very beautiful. So yeah, man, he just time attacks it. So I drove that in the canyons with him, and I mean, dude, the steering was so quick, and the car was so agile and so sticky. And like it was just set up really nice. It felt really good.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it's good, and it was cool because it's not a really expensive build. I mean, it's a wrecked car, and then like the shocks they had valved in Taiwan. Like it's not JRZ $8,000 whatever. Like the guy's just trying to make it work when he can and do lots and lots of time attack, and he's getting podiums and shit. It's awesome.
No, that's cool.
Yeah. So check that video out. That is up now.
Neat. All right, yeah, that's over on the channel. We're going to drive Civic Type R tomorrow.
Yeah.
Might be a little awkward.
Yeah, that's going to be funny. Is it track drive or is it street?
It's both.
It's both.
But I'm not sure. We'll have to see. Fortunately, Ryan Eversley is up there, championship racing driver.
Yeah.
And Ryan. Yeah, Ryan's great. And he's a friend. And so if I saw on his Instagram that he was doing lead follow. I don't want to make a video of lead follow, but if they're willing to let us do follow lead, where the lead car actually tails us on the track because we have a lot of experience and can be trusted to keep the car out of the fucking wall. Maybe we'll make a track video. If not, it'll just be a street video, or maybe if we can get 2 out of it, that would be very nice.
Yeah,
a track and a street.
Depends on the route they give us. Because the last time I was at Sonoma for Hyundai, the route out of the track was like a square, and I filmed the Kona N on it, and the video was honestly so dull. I was like, we should just.
Oh yeah, you
didn't
even run it.
There was like 2 corners in the entire route.
Well, we'll have to check. I hope there's plenty of time to do a track thing and go make a video on the road somewhere. Sonoma's it's not that near really good roads. I mean, it's near it's near good roads for driving on. It's not near very good roads for filming on. Mm-hmm. And so we would need a bit, an hour each side to transit.
Right.
So we'll do the best we can to make video. And then, of course, I'm going to Spain next week to drive R8 GT, which will be really cool. I'm excited to go, but fucking 4 days to make one video. It's one of those deals.
Aren't you going to Ascari?
Yeah, I believe so.
Have you been there before? I've
No.
never been there. All right. I mean, that's pretty cool.
No.
I know what you're saying. But
it's just it's a lot of time invested into one video. So please fucking watch it.
Please watch it.
Please watch it, because if I go spend 4 days on a video that brings in $300, it's not
very true.
It's not very good. It's not a good ratio. But yeah. So.
Wow. Yeah. If you made 75 a day, that's 304 days.
Yeah.
75 a day for 8 hours, let's call it, that's about $9.50 an hour.
Yeah, it's literally minimum wage. And of the 4 days, 2.5 of them, maybe even almost 3 of those days are in transit. It's just planes. And I'm not complaining. We're just talking about the reality of the situation. I could have said, no, I don't want to do this. But I am getting a road and track story out of it, and I'm also getting a video out of it. But so I have to fly from LA, connect in Chicago to Munich. All the journalists have to go to Munich, where Audi has gotten a charter flight to Spain. I don't know why they did this. If it was easier for everyone to fly into Munich because where we're going is nowhere near a major airport and it's harder to get to. I'm not sure why they did that. But because of that, I can't check a bag, because if the bag doesn't make it, it's not like there's a commercial flight to where we're going that they could put it on. So if a bag doesn't make it, it's stuck in Munich, and we've chartered flighted to somewhere else. So all that means is if the camera case is coming, that's my bag. And I'm only allowed to bring the camera case in a backpack, which means I have to do 4 days of traveling out of a backpack. Which for me, I don't know if you're familiar with how XXL clothes work, but they are physically bigger than other
That doesn't make
size.
sense.
And so I have to bring everything I need for 4 days of travel, including my computer and chargers and all that stuff, and all these clothes in a backpack. So is it going to be challenging?
I mean, I have used a normal clothing carry-on and put clothes and then put the camera stuff in there. It's fine for traveling, but once you're on set, it's a lot harder to find those cameras and keep them organized.
Yeah, so I'd much rather fortunately the weather.
Tight.
Yeah, the weather is going to be mild, so I don't have to bring a jacket. I'm going to be underdressed at fucking dinner. I'm not bringing the nice shoes. I'm not bringing the nice dress shirt. It's going to be a couple pairs of boxers, couple t-shirts, couple pairs of socks. Might even try to commit to just the one pair of jeans. And that's what I've got. But no gym clothes really, no working out.
Work out in your loafers.
Yeah, straight up. So
you have a glitter on your face. Did you know that? How was the strip club?
Do I actually have glitter on my face?
You have a red glitter on your face.
Where?
On your left cheek.
Why do I have glitter on my fucking face?
It keeps blinking at me.
Really?
Yeah.
That's weird.
How was your evening?
These hoes.
You smell like raspberries. Why?
I wonder if I used. Does Hannah have like glitter moisturizer or something? I don't know. That's weird.
The My Little Pony collection.
Weird. Why would I don't know. I don't even know. I have done nothing that was glitter related.
It might have been windy and it blew someone else's strip.
I was in the
residue.
one. I was in the 135. Is there hoe residue in the 135?
No. It's just that doesn't pick up chips.
I drove it home last night. It's nice.
It's nice, isn't it?
Yeah, it's very nice.
Really
the ride
nice.
is really, really good. Yeah, I'm
those
excited about that.
Those are nice coilovers.
Yeah, we're filming that on Friday. Of course, if you want to win the BMW 135 Ultimate $30,000 daily drivable Canyon car, go to our Instagram, click on the link in our bio, or go.getenteredtowin.com/TST. Only a few days left to enter.
Correct.
It's today. Today we're recording it is the 8th. Contest ends on the 16th, right? Midnight on the 16th.
On the 16th.
And or
Meaning
11:59
p.m. Pacific on the 16th.
Pacific. It's Pacific time.
Yeah.
We're sure it's Pacific time.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, you gotta buy a little bit of merch. Got to buy a coffee cup with my fucking ugly face on it. Think about me every morning when you have coffee. But you might get. We should really. Can we replace that photo with like the modified the post?
We can.
That one has the stock car in it.
Oh, I know. We just haven't done our video reveal yet, but we can totally.
But we've revealed it on Instagram, right? Haven't we showed
bit.
photos of it?
Yeah, we
of what
can.
it looks like now.
I'll tell Houston.
Yeah, we should. We don't have to do it right this second, but
No, I won't, but
it
I'm
doesn't
making a
look
note.
as special in this photo.
Very true.
Yeah. Go.getenteredtowin.com/TST or just hit the link in our bio to enter to win our BMW 135i project car modified with a bunch of cool high quality stuff, including some wheels that cost a lot more than we're telling you they cost.
Yeah, they're really nice.
For tax purposes, they cost $2,000. In reality, that's not really what they cost.
Can you find wheels from HRE that cost that little?
I think HRE's like cheapest wheels are probably like $600 each.
Okay.
For flow formed wheels, and these are not flow formed wheels. These are forged wheels.
Yeah.
So they're noticeably more. Yeah. Let's go to the Patreon. Of course, listen to the live show, ask us questions, ask our guests questions, get an ad-free listening experience, support your favorite car podcast at patreon.com/thesmokingtirepodcast. You're going to want to check that out and improve your podcast listening experience. Aiden Squires, looking back at all your experience driving other people's cars, what cars stick out as the most scary or life-endangering? Answered this one a few times in the past. Obvious answers, the Camaro that only had three functioning brakes that I didn't find out until I needed them. There was a trend for a year or two where the Ariel Atom and Exocet got popular and people started building like homemade exoskeleton type cars, and I drove something that was basically a Honda or Acura floor pan with the whole body removed and a sort of tube thing put on top of that. That was an epic death trap piece of shit.
Did it flex?
It was
Like-
it just pushed.
Understeer a lot?
It just weight was removed and structure was removed and rigidity was removed, and it just was terrible. Everything about it was terrible.
The Death Fiero? Didn't it have like a
The
funny
Death
oversteer?
Fiero, yeah. The Death Fiero, was pitched to me as being terrifying. A guy put a Mitsubishi Evo powertrain in the back of a Fiero, which actually was pretty fucking cool. I mean, it was like 700 horsepower. It was a death trap for sure. It wasn't built, it was built for him, and it was pitched to me as the Death Fiero. What made it super sketchy was not actually the power or the brakes, but the fact that the way that the Evo powertrain worked versus the way the stock Fiero powertrain worked, the motor was on the left side of the car with plumbing and the gearbox on the right side of the car. The motor sat on the driver's side of the car. So when you had as opposed to the original way, which was the opposite. So when you had, it actually looked really cool. When you had a driver sitting in this car, plus the motor on that, the weight distribution left to right
Wow.
was completely fucked up. So it would actually turn left okay, but it turned right like a snappy oversteer mess. And so it was a neat idea, and the execution as far as like sketchiness level was very high, but it could have gotten there, but it was kind of doomed to fail because of the weight distribution, which, I mean, I'm sure there's some kind of way to reverse the whole thing, but I don't know what it is. You know, like there must be some kind of way to reverse the output shaft so you could flip the engine around.
Right, probably.
But like, I don't know what it is. I don't know. I'm not qualified to make like engineering commentary, but I can tell you that it turned one direction a lot fucking better than it turned the other direction.
Yeah, it's like a sidecar racing situation.
Yeah, it was very, very sketchy. So that stands out. Jordan Klein says, I'm about to lock in my manual Cayman GTS 4.0 build tomorrow with the expected trip to Daman after I get used to my first mid-engine car. First P car, already learned some must-haves like the smokers package. I don't know what you get with the smokers package. That's interesting. Upgrading the plastic sun visors, etc. I didn't even know you could upgrade that. I didn't know about that at all. Anything else you can recommend? So recommended options, I mean, no. I mean, I just got on my Boxster. I got the best stereo they'll offer. I got the 18-way sports seats. I got some custom, some exclusive stuff. Things painted this and that, and must have. I don't know. I don't think there are any must-have options. It's just what you want. I mean, I've talked about it on the last show, but I think I talked about it on the last show. Suncoast Porsche. Did I talk about this on the last show?
I don't know.
Suncoast Porsche, yeah, I did. The European cars that we drove.
Yeah,
European spec Porsches have convex mirrors. U.S. spec cars have flat mirrors. It's like a NHTSA rule. So what you want to do after you get your car is you go to Suncoast Porsche and get the European convex mirrors, because they actually they're OE just for Europe. And they're way better. You just have like way better side visibility. They just like it
expands your field of vision.
It expands your field of vision. Yeah. I don't. Other than that, just get what you want. I mean, I can't think of any must-have options. Can you?
No, I mean, I think the sports seats.
Yeah.
Like, get the seats that are more comfortable, that hold you in just fine, unless you're doing lots and lots of track stuff. But for canyon things, I've never had a complaint about the sports seats.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's get what you can afford and what makes you happy, and just be happy with that instead of going, oh, should I have gotten, that's going to be a hard thing to deal with.
Yeah. Angbar, how did the partnership with regular car reviews for the giveaway come about? The guy who's running the giveaway runs regular car reviews giveaways.
Yes.
And so Brian and those guys introduced us to him, and that's how that worked. Benjamin Ali, Route to Vine question. Route to Vine Road and Track experiences. That's experiences.roadandtrack.com. Go check it out. Route to Vine is February 2023. That's our Northern California one. We've then got I think it's going to be called something like the Great Smoky 600 or something, is the Smoky Mountains one in June. Then there's going to be the Smoky Road 600. That's what they've decided to call it. Sort of a NASCAR takeoff thing. That's going to be in June, and then we've got the Rally to the Quail in August for the Quail experience. But the question from that person was Benjamin Ali. Would a good running 1989 Mercedes 560 SL with good tires be a solid choice for the Route to Vine event? Sure, why not? Classics are great. We welcome classics.
Not too heavy and kind of.
I mean, look, if you enjoy driving that car on a windy mountain road, then you'll enjoy driving it on these windy mountain roads. Some of the roads are tight and technical. It doesn't mean you can't do it in this car. You certainly can. It's just like, is that the kind of thing that you'd have fun doing? Some of the there's some open sweepers. There's some a little bit of highway on the 101. It's nice as far as highway goes. The 101 north of San Francisco is about as nice as a highway gets.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of twists and turns. So if you think that would be a fun experience, that's your thing, not me. I personally would probably choose something a little sportier. Maybe something where I had control over my gearbox. Maybe something where the seats held me in a little better.
I wonder how many turns lock to lock that Mercedes is also.
A bunch.
Tight roads, that might get a little old.
It might.
So I think they should go do a canyon day to see if they're going to like it.
Yeah, like I don't want to talk someone out of bringing a car they love. And everyone's shit is relative, right? Like when Donnie talks to me about my 328, like he's like, "Wow, isn't it great?" And I'm like, "Well, I really like it, Donnie, on the open sweepers." But I don't really like it on the super tight stuff. He's like, what? Why not? I love mine in the tight stuff. And I'm like, Donnie, don't take it personally. I drive everything. He's like, don't say you like your Boxster better. I'm like, you mean the 2022 Porsche with super sharp steering and
with
bucket seats
rack
that fucking hold me in? Yes, of course I like that better. I was like, but he's like, but like, I love like the way the 328 feels in like the super tight stuff. And I'm like, well, I don't. Like it's shuffle steering. It's really heavy steering. I don't really like, I like third gear better than I like second gear. And he's like, and it's like, Donnie, you only drive old ass fucking cars. Of course you think this is great in this setting because by your scale, so same thing with this guy's question, right? If your scale is old Mercedes, then it'll be great. But if your scale is like modern sports cars, then that's probably not.
I think this was Donnie's favorite toy as a kid, and that's why he likes it. This is the classic play school sit and spin, where you sit, basically your own merry-go-round, but that's because the angle of the steering wheel in the Ferrari is like quite flat.
Yeah. I love the Ferrari for a road trip, and I love it on the open sweepers in the desert, in like the Angeles forest and stuff like that. But in Malibu or in the very tight canyons, it's a lot of shuffling. It's not my favorite. So that's something to think about. Okay, Dave Kerwood, fuck, marry, kill. Wait. Oh, that's okay. It's not fuck, marry, kill. That's bad wording. Who win best? Categorize these cars: best interior, best performance, and best factory sound. Mercedes AMG, Audi RS, BMW M. Best interior is Audi, best sound is AMG, and best performance is probably M.
I think a few years ago, I actually thought Mercedes had the nicer interior than Audi. Not as like advanced, but I just liked the kind of retro modern thing they were doing, like with the AMG GTs. Mercedes won sound for sure, at least until they got rid of the V8.
Yeah.
And like performance, the M. Even though I know that the AMG Black Series, GT Black Series, like won lightning lap this year, it just, I don't know, the car just feels like uninvolving to me. The sound is weird inside. It's just it's like full race car, but below that, I think M has more general performance cars that did really well.
Yeah. Light bias, thoughts on a Mercedes S65 coupe compared to an S63 coupe. Not much extra performance for a lot more maintenance.
Yeah.
Outwardly, very few differences between the cars. They look almost identical in every way except for the badging and some of the wheel options. The S65 is a twin-turbo V12. The 63 is a V8. It's certainly boss to have a V12 Benz for the three people who know the difference. But fundamentally, in a big coupe like that, the way you're driving it most of the time makes no difference at all.
Totally.
Both have big torque. Both have, you're not running them at the top of the power band ever. You're cruising. And once you have like over 500 pounds of torque, like who gives a shit? It's not like there's really a difference between 500 and 600 for the way that you're driving a big S-Class coupe. You're talking about a luxury daily driver. Same thing with the R129s. I mean, I bought a SL 500, and people are like, why didn't you get the 600? The 600 is like 50% more to maintain. Everything you do is 50% more to maintain. And I think I put my foot all the way to the floorboard 5 times in the 500. It's a car you drive at 25% throttle, torque, cruising. Same thing with this, with a 63 and a 65. There's in the way you actually use the car, or like I was talking to Killer Mike last week. He was like, he got a Escalade from GM for doing the commercial. Mm-hmm. He's like, yeah, I wish it was the Escalade V. And I was like, Mike, it makes absolutely no difference unless you're like mobbing an Escalade around. He's like, yeah, but Z06 motor. And I was like, yeah, but how are you going flat in this Escalade all the time? You're hitting the floorboard with the pedal and going, this is not enough. Like, it's just not how you drive one of these cars.
Yeah.
And so
for a lot of people, the benefit of the larger engine is just having it and knowing they have it or whatever. But in actual use, it doesn't really make a big difference. I also think the V8 at like in a simple sense, sounds more powerful than the V12.
Right.
Like V12s, Ferrari V12s or Aston, where it screams, that sounds like something. But usually in cars like this or like the Bentleys, it actually is very muted, and it announces less, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, that too. And it's just and a lot of times getting the bigger motor comes with other shit. Like if you're talking about the 550 versus 63 Mercedes, well, you get bigger brakes, you get a better suspension, you get interior touches that make it a certain way. But to go from 63 to 65, you're getting extra power in cylinders that you're not really getting much use out of. A sound that arguably is not as good, more expensive maintenance, and you're only preaching to the nerds.
Yeah.
So yeah, they're cool. If you rolled up here with one, I would know that you went all the way. But like, does it actually make a difference? Like, no. Not really. Chris Navio, Zach, can you get a picture of whatever this is? What are your thoughts on the Adro front bumper facelift on the new M3? Let's see it. Yeah, that's still very ugly. Not good.
It doesn't do a ton,
It makes the
does
M3
it?
look kind of like an M6 or M8.
Yeah, and I guess they said the designer used to work at Rivian and what was the other place? Mercedes. Now what?
Well, look, Rivians aren't very good looking, so that's not a selling point.
I think they're good look. I think they're fine from the side and the back. You know, just a decent shape. And I saw an R1S on the highway, and like that's a nice shape.
The shape is good, but the front end is not attractive
I don't like
to
the headlights very
me.
much. I don't know. I don't feel like this looks that different. Like you still have giant grille.
Yeah.
You still have these octagons or hexagons, whatever they are.
I mean, it's a little bit less double vagina like, but it's still just giant mouthy.
Yeah, you're right. They brought the bottom of the kidney grills up a little bit. But they're still quite large.
And the humps on the top of the nose there are weird.
They look. I think they're bigger.
Yeah.
Because I think the stock car has small ones, but these look a lot bigger.
Yeah. I'm not that into it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look, when the starting point is as unfortunate as it is.
Someone did one where they basically just put the old bumper back
right
on
when
it.
the new one came out.
Right.
That was good.
And Peter Nam at Guntherworks / Vorsteiner made a new front bumper as well, and he showed me the renderings, and I was like, that's still ugly, Pete. Like, just go back to the old bumper. And he goes, you can't, because the new engine has this much airflow requirement that it needs this giant fucking snout now. If you put the other, you're going to have problems with the car. So
they increased the flow of air. I think it was like 20 or 30%.
It's a lot.
Really big.
Yeah.
So you need a bigger hole for that. I mean, Z06 learned that lesson.
Jack Riley. Oh, yeah. Hannah got laid off of Twitter.
She did?
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sorry. I didn't know
Don't be. She was waiting to get laid off.
Wow.
Either she was going to get laid off or she was going to protest quit.
Oh, okay.
And getting laid off means she got her stock vest and is going to get... Well, they haven't said anything about severance yet. Elon went on Twitter and said, said some shit about severance that is so far not true. Like, just straight up not true. He said, like, they're giving 50% more than the legal requirement. Like, that's, at least so far, that has proven to not be true. Now, it could become true, maybe. Like, she was laid off. In California, you have to give 60 days.
Right.
That's called the WARN Act. It's the legal thing. So, if they just fired her and cut off her paycheck in a mass layoff, that would be illegal in California.
Okay.
And there would be a monster lawsuit.
Yeah.
Instead, they said, you're laid off as of today. They locked her email. They locked her computer, but they're still paying her for 2 months.
Got it.
So that's the 60
That's
days.
the 60 days.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're still, quote, employed. You're an inactive employee. Some people circulated on Twitter a letter that the letter that was sent out that was like the fucking most cowardly letter. It wasn't signed. It was signed Twitter. And in some other states, I think New York included, the legal minimum is 90 days, not 60. The letter that was circulated was a 90-day letter. So
probably from New York then.
Could it be from some? There's a couple other states that are 90. So
Alaska, probably.
Elon went on Twitter and said, we're giving out 50% more than the legal minimum in severance. The letter says you will be paid 60 days through November 4th, or through, January 4th, and we will discuss severance at a later time. We will come back to you, not a later time, but like during this period, we will come back to you with an offer for severance. So if Elon's saying there's going to be 50% more than the legal minimum of severance, maybe. But they haven't mentioned that at all, other than to say, we will come back to you. And to get the severance, you have to sign a non-disclosure, a non-compete, all this other shit. Whereas they have to pay you the 60 days no matter what.
Right, okay.
Without signing anything.
Okay.
So that's where it's at right now. Hannah there's no way she was going to work for this fucking lunatic. I mean, and what he's done over there in the last 2 weeks is such an apocalyptic disaster. I mean, if you think what you've seen play out on Twitter is bad and what you've read in the news is bad, the behind the scenes is so much worse. I can't talk about it because they could still still fire her for cause if I start talking about it and someone finds out. So I can't until, maybe once it all is over, we could talk about it. But like, I can't now because she could still get in trouble.
Yeah, that's fine.
But if you think it's bad in public, you have no fucking idea how bad it is. It is such a disaster.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I mean, it's so obvious that he doesn't have the first fucking clue what he's doing and is totally fired anybody that is willing to stand up to him, not to mention decimating entire departments that he was like, yeah, that's not necessary, before realizing that they are necessary and trying to call people back. And unfortunately, enough people needed the job. It's not like those people like, sure, I'll come back for double my salary. None of that. Some people just needed the job.
Yeah, that
and
makes
so
sense.
they're willing to crawl back to keep the job. Fortunately, my wife is not in that position.
Did she get hit up and say, actually, we need you back, or no? Or if you're not
No,
allowed to talk about it, that's okay.
no, not directly, but they definitely realized that her department wasn't as useless as they immediately thought. They cut her whole department. I mean, it's not just like she got laid off. Like the entire research division was laid off.
Wow.
Because his version of research is put a poll on Twitter. That's what he thinks research is, which is ridiculous. But yeah, no. So she's fine, and she was never going to work for that fucking lunatic anyway. So it was just a matter of, waiting it out to be laid off or protest quitting and getting nothing.
Okay. Well, hopefully she finds something in the future she likes. I
know, right? What is Andre Jordan? Any cars upcoming that you're exceptionally excited for?
GR Corolla.
Yeah, I already drove that one for Road and Track Performance Car of the Year. It is very fun, and I would like to spend some more time with it. But it is very fun.
I'm genuinely excited to drive Civic Type R just because I think the last one drove so damn well, like really, really well, and now it doesn't look terrible. So, but it'll probably just be an evolution of something that was already good.
Right. There's
what else?
Something I'm exceptionally, really excited for. I mean,
what else?
My car. Fucking My Car.
Yeah,
Someone the other night came up to
exciting.
me at a restaurant and said, I love the show. Are you excited to drive anything good? I'm like, yeah, My Car. that I've been waiting 18 months to drive, which is getting picked up today or tomorrow from demand.
That will definitely be the most exciting car of the year.
Yeah. Oh, boy. Okay, hang on a second. All right. I have to dissect this one. Chris Gordzeal wants a third car. Wants a car they can do maintenance themselves on, is pretty handy, pleasure only, values down the road, 25 to 40,000. C5 Z06, C6 Grand Sport, Mercedes SL 55, 63, or 65. Well,
those are very different. I mean, the Mercs are going to feel so different from the Corvettes.
Right.
The intention of them.
Yeah.
Is one's a Grand Tour and, meant for getting blowjobs from your third wife, and the other one is for running from your second cousin's house. No, those are stupid jokes. Like,
I'd rather have a
Z06
C6 Grand Sport than a C5 Z06 because the C6 Grand Sport has the C6 Z06 aluminum chassis structure and body structure, but with the LS3 engine, not the LS7 engine, which is less maintenance.
Yeah, and the interior of the C6 is far nicer than the C5.
Yeah, C5 Z06s are old cars at this point. Mm-hmm. The Mercedes, you do not want the 65. We already covered that.
Especially, it doesn't matter. You'd have to be real handy to work on that yourself.
The 55 and 63 will perform similar to each other. The 63 has a little more power and sounds a little better, but it's got that head stud issue with all the 63 motors that needs to be addressed. You don't want to do that one yourself, even if you're handy. So if you're looking at a 63, make sure it's been done, or make sure you factor that into the price of maintenance.
The head stud, they back out?
They back out or snap or something. All the 63 engines have this head stud issues.
That's not good.
And it's like a big deal to fix it. And it needs to be done preventatively. You don't just wait until it happens. It needs to be done with all of them. It's like the rod bearing thing on the M3s, and it's like
otherwise, if it happens, then you
have a problem. Yeah, you have a problem.
You have the same symptoms.
Yeah, you have a problem. Opinion on values down the road. Corvettes only go down. I mean, it's just, either it's from the 60s and it's very rare and special, or it's a C7 ZR1 with a manual and all that shit. Any other Corvette only goes down. Now,
really? Even C5 Z06?
Yeah.
I feel like they bottomed at 20. The last 2 years notwithstanding.
They have a floor.
Yeah.
As long as they're in decent shape, they do have a floor. It's not like a C5 Z06 will be worth $5,000, but they don't go up. I mean, they just don't. It's historically modern Corvettes go down and then stop at a floor, and then they don't go back up.
They made so many of them.
Because the newest one is always the best one. It just is the way, unless you're talking about the last manual transmission with the monster fucking motor, the ZR1, which is they made so few of because people were waiting on. That wasn't a limited production car, but it almost overlapped with the mid-engine car. That a lot of people who would have bought it waited for the mid-engine car. And so they didn't sell a lot of them. Mm-hmm. Plus, they were hairy as hell. And so they didn't make a lot, and consequently, they're on the flip, they're very valuable, right? But other than that, Corvettes only go down. Those Mercedes SLs, same kind of thing, but their floor is a little higher.
Yeah. But most people just want the newest Mercedes SL until you get to something like yours where it's like, all right, now it's cool.
Until it's classic yeah. And so you're probably, R129s are having their moment now. You're probably 7-8 years from those next-gen cars. The current SL, it's not like a looker.
No,
so those are very good-looking cars, those SLs.
Yeah, I really like them.
Yeah, but the maintenance can be high.
And it's really like these are, the Grand Sport is like wide body, wide tires, firm suspension. This is a track car or aggressive mountain canyon car. And the SLs are not that. So it's really, you need to decide what you want to do with the car and what the point of it is. For like pleasure, he says the car is just for pleasure. That's a pretty broad term.
Yeah. David Waltz wants us to have motorcycle journalists on the podcast, Zach Kortz and Ari Henning. Never heard of them. I'm sure they're nice guys. Motorcycle journalist. Those are SEO death right there. You want to have a podcast that nobody will listen to? Have motorcycle journalists on the program. I'm sure they do great work. Nothing against them personally. SEO death. There's a lot of. Okay, hang on. There's a lot of. Okay. S. Geyer 90, thoughts on the Just Stop Oil activist actions trying to get attention by gluing themselves to the Porsche Museum, throwing paint all over cars, throwing soup and shit at the paintings. I think it's kind of dumb.
Yeah,
I think it's kind of dumb. Yeah. I did just see something, I think it maybe in France, of some activists that were blocking the runway at a private airport and preventing the private jets from leaving. That's funny. I mean, ruining a Van Gogh doesn't really do any. It's that you're not going to rally people around your cause by ruining a Van Gogh.
Yeah.
But making billionaires' lives uncomfortable is funny.
At least it's a slight version of revenge, because if let's say the billionaire owns an oil company and is screwing the world up, they're making our lives inconvenient. So at least you've done that to them for a little bit,
right?
But like the works of art are done by people that are dead. And
yeah,
they're amazing works of art, and what they're doing is not going to bring more attention to the problem than already exists. There are documentaries, there are Twitter posts. Like, I feel like more and more people are worried about climate change and know what's the effects that are causing it.
Right.
But like, you're not bringing a bunch of new people to the party.
Right. And Ferrari, Bugatti, Bentley, and Aston Martin, they're not causing climate change. If you want to make a statement at a car dealership, go paint on a bunch of F-150s. Or, or big trucks focused on SUVs, stuff like that. Like, small batch luxury cars is not really the problem. And I get it if they're talking about if they're talking about socialism or communism, then maybe that would make an eat the rich kind of thing. But if you're trying to stop oil, all those companies are rapidly converting to EVs.
Yeah, that's true.
I think it's misguided,
yeah.
And especially the paintings thing.
Make
billionaires' lives uncomfortable.
It gets a lot of clicks, but like, I just don't think it's going to do what they hope it does.
Yeah. Why don't you stop a tanker truck from fueling a billionaire's yacht? Why don't you cut off the fuel supply to a private jet airport, or block the runways so private jets can't take off or land, and they have to reroute to other fucking airports, and they make their lives inconvenient. That to me is more fun and whimsical and useful and causes no permanent damage. Have you seen the tire extinguishers?
No.
This one's kind of funny. It's in Europe. It's people who are going around flattening, not slashing, but deflating the tires on SUVs and trucks, saying like, your shit is too big, taking up too much space, and we've taken the liberty of making it undrivable for a time being. Yeah.
We are the Tire Extinguishers.
Yeah.
Our one aim is to make it impossible to own a huge polluting 4x4 in the world's urban areas. We defend ourselves against climate change, air pollution, and unsafe drivers.
Yeah.
Wow.
There you go.
Deflating tires repeatedly and encouraging others to do the same will turn the minor inconvenience of a flat tire into a giant obstacle for driving massive killer vehicles around our streets.
Yeah. Like, that's effective. That's fun. No permanent damage.
True.
Right? No, just pure inconvenience. You're not fucking up, a Van Gogh that says nothing about oil.
True. The problem with this is it's like vigilante justice, but it's just, it's gentle. But like, that is what they're doing.
Yeah, they're creating an inconvenience.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's throwing soup on a Van Gogh. I don't you're not going to rally me around your cause by throwing soup on a Van Gogh.
It is turning people off.
Yeah.
Genuinely from something that is important to everybody.
Yeah.
So that's unfortunate.
Yeah. I think there's one or two more. Ivan Capote, is the Guilia QV, even with its reliability issues, still an answer to the Mercedes-AMG hybridization and BMW's questionable styling? Can you even buy a Guilia QV in America right now? I mean, their press cars don't exist anymore.
And the question would be, what are they going to do in the future are they also going to have to turn to hybrids or smaller engines? Like, I mean, Mercedes isn't doing this out of the goodness of their heart.
Right.
So let me see if you can find one on the website.
Yeah.
You can get a 2022 from a Alpha dealer.
You can?
Yeah. At 0% APR with bonus cash.
Wow.
That tells you
Every
something.
car in the world has ADM except an Alpha. Go buy an Alpha. Yeah.
That tells you something. What is the used market right
I mean,
now?
they may have,
Carfax.
they may have sorted out some of these reliability issues. That car's been on the market for 4 years now. Alpha's, Giulia's a nice looking car.
So good looking.
They drove, the QV drove good. It sounds good.
You can get a used one for 50, 60 grand. 2018, 50 in a nice blue. Wow, that's a lot of car. Get it with a extended warranty for sure.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know what they're like to own, but Johnny had the 4-cylinder one that he bought. I think his wife drove it or
Yeah.
something. He seemed to like it.
And that one's supposed to be more reliable.
Yeah.
It genuinely is. The QV is, famously problematic.
Yeah.
I don't know. A friend of mine has one. He's had minor issues, not many, but we also have talked to people that spent most of their time driving a loaner.
Yeah.
Out of a 12-month lease or whatever. It's like they spent 6 months in a loaner.
Yeah.
I don't know. It could go either way, and that's not what I would want
Yeah.
from a performance sedan.
Kenny wants to know about the new Mercedes SL.
Oh yeah, I pulled up a picture.
No one's talking about it at all. I mean, that's not entirely true. There's no hype around it, but people have... The rollout of the car was weird. They had a first drive in Europe somewhere, and some reviews came out, and then it took a very long time for them to get cars to the press fleets for regular loans. People have driven them. They're on my list. I've emailed them a couple times. They haven't been able to get me one. They said they would be able to get it in November. I'll follow up. But it looks better. It looks better than it did before. And this says the hybrid one 0 to 60 in 2.9 and a top speed of 196 miles an hour. So it's not slow. It's not slow, but there's I don't have any thoughts because I haven't driven it.
Yeah.
Hard to have thoughts when you haven't driven the car.
Yeah. That's why we haven't talked about it.
Yeah.
Cool.
Are we don't need a show before Friday, right?
Correct.
Okay, cool.
This will air
all right. So
this will
then
air Thursday.
all right, cool. So next show, we're gonna have Jazz Hampton on the podcast. He was another guy I met in Germany. He's got this app called Turn Signal, which is real cool. I hope it doesn't conflict with our Off the Record sponsorship because I'm very happy with our Off the Record sponsorship and I think they're doing good work. But Turn Signal is an app that you activate if you're pulled over by the cops, and it puts you in instant contact with an attorney who will talk you through on video chat being pulled over. I mean, you've got a lawyer now in the car with you to tell you what to do and not to do in the presence of the cop, but also to keep the cop accountable.
Yeah.
And it's a very neat thing. It was one of the most interesting presentations at the conference in Germany that I went to, and Jazz is going to be in town, and I wanted to make sure that he was able to talk about this with us. It's really, really interesting stuff.
I think it's a necessary app. It's sad that it is necessary, but
Accountability is good. So that's our show for the day. Friday morning at 9 a.m. We're back with Jazz Hampton from Turn Signal. And thanks everyone for listening. Thanks to our patrons for patronizing. And I'll see you later.